A large commercial bread factory produces over 1 million loaves every single day. The entire process from raw flour to sealed bag on a delivery truck takes less than 4 hours. And almost nobody has ever seen what actually happens inside those buildings to make that possible. This is the complete production journey of a loaf of sandwich bread, and the scale and precision of it will change the way you look at every bag on the shelf. It begins with flour, and flour begins with wheat. The flour used in commercial sandwich bread arrives at the bakery facility in bulk, not in bags, not in sacks, but in tanker trucks carrying tens of thousands of pounds of milled wheat flour per load. At the facility, the flour is transferred pneumatically from the truck directly into large silo towers that stand adjacent to or rise through the building itself. A typical high-volume bread plant maintains multiple flour silos, each holding hundreds of thousands of pounds, fed continuously by incoming deliveries to ensure the production line never runs short of its primary raw material. The flour used for standard white sandwich bread is enriched bread flour, a high-protein wheat flour milled from hard red winter or hard red spring wheat varieties, selected for their gluten-forming properties. Protein content in the flour is one of the most critical variables in bread quality. Higher protein means more gluten development, which means stronger dough structure, better gas retention during fermentation, and a finished loaf with the soft, even crumb structure that sandwich bread consumers expect. The flour specification for a commercial bakery is tight protein percentage, moisture content, ash content, and falling number are all tested from each incoming delivery before the flour is released into the production system. Alongside the flour silos, the facility maintains bulk storage for the other primary ingredients. Granulated sugar, salt, and vegetable shortening or oil are stored in dedicated systems and fed to the mixing operation on demand. Yeast is stored separately under refrigeration, commercial, instant dry yeast, or fresh compressed yeast, depending on the bakery's formulation, because yeast is a living organism and its activity level is directly affected by temperature. Water, the ingredient that hydrates the flour and activates the yeast, is drawn from the facility's supply and typically conditioned before use, temperature adjusted to the level that the formula requires for correct yeast activity and dough temperature at the end of mixing. Minor ingredients, dough conditioners, emulsifiers, ascorbic acid, calcium propionate for mold inhibition, and the various additives that commercial bread formulas include to manage dough handling, extend shelf life, and improve crumb texture are weighed in smaller quantities in the ingredient preparation area and added to the mixer at the appropriate point in the mixing sequence. These minor ingredients are present in small amounts, but have significant functional effects on the dough and the finished loaf. Emulsifiers like datum or monoglycerides interact with the starch and gluten in the dough to improve crumb softness and slow staling. Ascorbic acid acts as an oxidant that strengthens the gluten network. Calcium propionate inhibits mold growth without affecting yeast activity. Each of these ingredients is there for a specific technical reason, and their inclusion is what allows a commercially produced sandwich loaf to remain soft and mold-free on a store shelf for a week or more. With ingredients staged and the mixing formula set, the production cycle begins. The mixing system in a high-volume bread plant is either a continuous mixer, a large horizontal machine that takes in all ingredients simultaneously and produces a continuous stream of dough, or a batch mixer operating on a timed cycle with multiple mixers running in rotation to maintain a constant dough supply to the line. Large continuous mixers are common in plants, producing a single standardized product at very high volume because they eliminate the batch cycle time and allow the downstream line to run without interruption. The mixing action develops the gluten network, the interlocking web of protein strands that gives bread dough its elasticity and its ability to trap the gas bubbles produced by yeast fermentation. Flour and water alone create this network when mechanically worked, and the intensity and duration of the mixing determines the development level of the gluten structure. Undermixed dough has a weak, sticky gluten network that tears easily and cannot hold gas effectively, producing a loaf with poor volume and an irregular crumb. Overmixed dough breaks down the gluten network through excessive mechanical shear, producing a slack, difficult-to-handle dough that spreads rather than holds its shape. The target is a dough that is smooth, elastic, and slightly tacky. developed enough to be strong, but not so far developed that it begins to break down. The dough exits the mixer. Warm friction generated by the mixing process raises the dough temperature, and the formula is designed so that the exit temperature from the mixer falls within a specific range that gives the yeast the conditions it needs to begin working at the correct rate. From the mixer, the dough moves immediately into the dividing system, and in a continuous production line, this transition happens without pause. The divider is a machine that cuts the continuous dough mass into individual dough pieces of a precisely specified weight. Every piece that comes off the divider needs to be within a very tight weight tolerance of the target, typically the target weight for a standard 1.5-pound sandwich loaf, accounting for moisture loss during baking. The divider uses a series of pistons or a volumetric cutting mechanism to portion the dough at high speed, producing hundreds of dough pieces per minute across multiple lines running simultaneously. Weight consistency at the divider is critical because it directly determines the finished loaf weight. A piece that is too light produces a loaf that doesn't meet the declared net weight, which is a regulatory compliance failure. A piece that is too heavy produces a loaf that overfills the pan and creates shape problems. The divider is monitored continuously and calibrated regularly to maintain the required weight accuracy. From the divider, each dough piece passes through the rounder, a machine that shapes the irregular, cut dough piece into a smooth ball. The cutting action of the divider tears the gluten network at the cut surfaces and produces a piece with a rough, uneven exterior. The rounder works the piece against a curved, non-stick surface in a circular motion that folds the torn surfaces under and creates a smooth skin around the piece. This smooth skin is important because it helps the dough piece hold its shape during the next stage, traps gas more effectively, and produces a more uniform loaf structure. The rounder operates quickly, dough pieces enter one end and exit the other in a matter of seconds, now smooth spheres rather than rough chunks, moving in a continuous stream toward the intermediate proofer. The intermediate proofer, sometimes called the first proof or the overhead proofer, is a large enclosed conveyor system that holds dough pieces for a short period of controlled rest after rounding. The purpose of this rest stage is to allow the gluten network, which was tightened and stressed by the rounding process, to relax enough to be workable in the next forming step. A dough piece that goes directly from rounding to sheeting without resting will tear under the pressure of the sheeting rollers because the tight, stressed gluten resists extension. After a few minutes in the intermediate proofer at controlled temperature and humidity, the dough relaxes and becomes extensible again without losing its structural integrity. The intermediate proofer in a high-volume plant is typically an enclosed overhead cabinet through which the dough pieces ride on a moving conveyor in a looping path, spending the required rest time in a compact overhead footprint rather than taking up floor space on a long horizontal conveyor. From the intermediate proofer, the dough pieces enter the sheeter and molder the machine that shapes each piece from a rounded ball into the cylindrical form that fits a bread pan and produces the characteristic even crumb structure of sandwich bread. The sheeter section of the machine passes the dough piece through a pair of rollers set at a gap that flattens it into an oval sheet of even thickness. This rolling step degasses the dough, pressing out the gas bubbles that have begun to form since mixing, which contributes to a finer, more even crumb in the finished loaf by resetting the gas cell structure before the final proof. The sheeted oval then passes over a curling board and through a molding roller that rolls the sheet tightly into a cylinder, a firm, compact roll of layered dough with the seam pressed closed on the underside. This cylinder is the shaped dough piece, the form that will sit in the bread pan, expand during final proof, and bake into a finished loaf. The molded piece exits the machine seam side down and is placed by an automated transfer mechanism directly into the bread pan waiting to receive it. Bread pans in a commercial bakery are multiple piece units, typically steel pans with non-stick coating that hold either a single loaf or more commonly multiple loaves side by side as a unit. At high volume, the pan handling system is fully automated. Empty pans travel on conveyors from the depanning station at the oven exit through cleaning and oiling and arrive at the molder exit in a continuous stream to receive freshly molded pieces. Each pan receives its dough piece and continues forward to the final proofer, the longest and most critical fermentation stage in the entire process. The final proofer is a large, climate-controlled tunnel or cabinet through which the loaded pans travel on a slow-moving conveyor for a defined period, typically between 45 and 90 minutes, depending on the formula, the yeast level, and the production line design. Inside the proofer, temperature and humidity are held at levels that optimize yeast activity warm enough to encourage vigorous gas production, humid enough to prevent the dough surface from drying and forming a skin that would restrict expansion. During the final proof, the yeast consumes sugars in the dough and produces carbon dioxide, which inflates the gas cells in the gluten network and causes the dough to rise. The dough piece enters the proofer as a compact cylinder sitting below the top of the pan and exits it as a fully risen, domed mound that rises above the pan's rim, the characteristic crown shape of a properly proofed sandwich loaf. Watching pans of dough enter and exit the final proofer captures the transformation that is central to bread making more clearly than any other stage. The same weight of dough in the same pan, but completely different in volume, structure, and appearance after the yeast has done its work. The risen dough is fragile at this point. A sharp impact or vibration can cause the gas structure to partially collapse, and the conveyor system is engineered to move the loaded pans gently from the proofer exit to the oven entrance without disturbing the risen structure. The bread enters the oven immediately upon exiting the proofer, and the oven is where the irreversible transformation from raw dough to baked bread occurs. Commercial bread ovens for sandwich loaf production are tunnel ovens, long, enclosed baking chambers through which the pan conveyor travels at a controlled speed from entry to exit. The oven is divided into zones with independent temperature control, allowing the baking profile to be shaped along the length of the tunnel. In the early zones, the dough continues to rise as the yeast remains active in the warming environment, a final burst of gas production called oven spring that increases the loaf volume by a further 15 to 30% before the internal temperature rises high enough to kill the yeast and set the structure. As the temperature inside the loaf rises through roughly 140 degrees Fahrenheit, the yeast dies and gas production stops. The starch granules in the flour gelatinize, absorbing water and setting into the solid matrix that forms the breadcrumb. The gluten proteins denature and coagulate, adding structural rigidity. The outer surface of the loaf, exposed to the higher temperatures near the oven walls, develops the thin, golden crust visible on the top and sides of a baked sandwich loaf through the Maillard reaction and caramelization of surface sugars. The internal temperature of the loaf needs to reach approximately 190 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit at the center to ensure the crumb is fully set and the loaf is safe to eat. The oven temperature profile, conveyor speed, and total bake time are all calibrated together to achieve this internal temperature while producing the target crust color and moisture content in the finished loaf. Bake time for a standard sandwich loaf in a commercial tunnel oven is typically between 18 and 24 minutes. The loaves exit the oven golden-topped, fully risen, and baked through, but still very hot and not yet ready for handling or slicing. The hot loaves move from the oven exit directly into the depanning station, where the bread is removed from its pans. The pans are inverted and the loaves drop out onto a conveyor. The non-stick coating and the baking process ensure the loaf releases cleanly without tearing. Empty pans move off on a separate conveyor path to be cleaned, oiled, and returned to the system. The loaves, now free of their pans, continue onto the cooling conveyor. Cooling is not a passive step. It is an engineered process that takes a specific amount of time and requires adequate airflow to complete correctly before slicing can begin. A freshly baked loaf has a soft, almost fragile crumb structure because the starch gelatinization that sets the crumb is fully firm only after the loaf has cooled. A loaf that is sliced while still internally warm compresses and tears under the slicer blades rather than cutting cleanly. The result is ragged slices with torn edges that no consumer would accept. The cooling conveyor moves the loaves through an area with controlled airflow fans, circulating ambient or slightly conditioned air around the loaves for a period long enough to bring the internal temperature down to near ambient. In a high-volume plant, the cooling conveyor is a long, looping structure that doubles back on itself multiple times in a vertical tower configuration to achieve the required cooling time within a manageable floor footprint. The total cooling time from oven exit to slicer entry is typically between 80 and 120 minutes. When the loaves reach their target exit temperature from the cooling conveyor, they move to the slicing and bagging line, the final production stage, before the finished product is sealed and ready for distribution. The bread slicer is a machine with a bank of parallel thin blades, typically reciprocating blades that move back and forth at high speed, positioned across the width of the conveyor at intervals that correspond to the target slice thickness. The loaf enters the slicer horizontally and passes through the blade bank, which cuts it into the full set of slices in a single pass. The slice thickness is set by the blade spacing. Standard sandwich bread is typically cut to around half an inch per slice, producing a loaf of approximately 20 slices, including the end pieces. The slicing action is fast, and the cut surfaces are clean when the loaf is properly cooled, producing the flat, even slices with a smooth crumb surface that consumers expect. The sliced loaf exits the slicer still in its original loaf shape. The slice is compressed back together by the exit conveyor and moves immediately into the bagger. The bagger is a machine that opens a pre-printed bread bag, receives the sliced loaf from the slicer, and seals the bag in a continuous operation. The bags are printed with the brand, the product name, nutritional information, ingredients, best before date, and all required labeling content. The loaf slides into the open bag on a pusher mechanism, and the bag is then closed either by a twist tie applicator, a clip applicator, or a heat seal mechanism depending on the bakery's packaging system. Twist ties and clips are the most common closure for sandwich bread because they allow consumers to open and reclose the bag multiple times, which is a functional requirement for a product used over several days. The sealed bag passes through a metal detector and a label verification camera that confirms the correct bag was used and the best before date was applied correctly. From the bagger, sealed loaves move onto outbound conveyor lines that direct them toward the shipping area. Some facilities use automated case packing systems that group sealed loaves into cardboard trays or cases for palletized distribution. Others are set up for direct loading onto bread racks, the tall, wheeled metal shelving units that fit inside bread delivery trucks and allow loaves to be transported without stacking, which would compress the soft bread under load. The racks are loaded in the dispatch area and rolled directly onto the delivery trucks, which are often loaded the same day the bread was baked and dispatched overnight or in the early morning hours to arrive at retail stores before opening. The entire process from flour entering the mixer to sealed loaf rolling onto a delivery truck takes roughly 3 to 4 hours in a well-designed continuous production facility. A single production line operating at full capacity can produce several thousand loaves per hour. A large plant running multiple lines simultaneously can exceed 1 million loaves per day. That is the scale at which sandwich bread is made, not in a kitchen, not in batches, but in a continuous industrial system where every stage is engineered to connect to the next without interruption. From wheat flour in a silo to a sealed bag on a store shelf, the journey of a sandwich loaf is faster, more precise, and more considered than most people ever realize. If that's the kind of process that holds your attention, a like takes 1 second and genuinely helps. Subscribe for more factory and production documentaries, and leave a comment telling us which food manufacturing process you want to see covered next. There is always more happening behind the scenes than the product lets on.